So, you hear all this talk about Web3, right? This amazing new internet that's supposed to be owned by us, the users, all built on this idea of decentralization. But, and let's be honest here, if it's really the future, why does trying to use it feel like you're firing up an old dial-up modem? Today, we're going to dig into that. We're going to talk about the invisible wall that's holding Web3 back. And the one thing, the surprisingly simple thing that could finally unlock it for all of us. And that thing? It's just good design. All right, so let's get right to it. I mean, if you've ever tried to set up a crypto wallet or use what they call a D app, you've probably hit a wall and just asked yourself, why is this so confusing, right? It feels like you need a PhD just to send a few bucks. So what's really going on? Why is it so complicated? You know, you've got this incredible promise on one side of the coin. We're talking about real ownership of your data, your digital stuff, a web without the big tech gatekeepers calling all the shots. Sounds amazing. But then, there's the reality for most of us. And that reality is a mess of confusing screens, way too many steps to do anything, and interactions that are just so complex, they're scary. And that gap, that huge gap between the promise and the reality, that's what we're talking about when we say Web3's usability problem. It's this massive, invisible wall standing between this game-changing technology and, regular people actually using it every day.
But here's the interesting part. The problem isn't the tech itself. I mean, the blockchain stuff, it's brilliant. It's revolutionary. No, the real barrier, it's the experience. The moment-to-moment feeling of actually trying to use these things. It just wasn't built for us, for everyday folks. At least, not yet.
So, if there's a wall, how do we knock it down? Or maybe, how do we build a bridge over it? Well, that bridge is design. We're talking about UI and UX, user interface and user experience. It's basically the art of taking something super complex and making it feel simple, intuitive, human. And let's be super clear here. When we say Web3 UX design, we're not just talking about picking nice colors and fonts. No way. This is about making this crazy, complicated blockchain tech feel simple, feel safe, and feel so intuitive that anyone can use it and feel confident doing it. Really, the whole goal is just this. Move a product from what on earth is happening to, oh, okay, I get it. It's about moving from complexity to clarity. And every single time you do that, with every click, you're building trust. Okay, great. Sounds good in theory, right? But what does this actually look like? When we say designing for decentralization, what are we talking about? What are designers actually building to make this whole Web3 thing easier for the rest of us?
Well, they're working on the core building blocks of this new internet. You've got your dApps. Think of them as apps that run on the blockchain. You've got your crypto wallets, which are kind of like your new bank account and your ID all rolled into one. Then there's DeFi platforms for finance, NFT marketplaces, and even the tools for DAOs, which are basically like online clubs run by the members themselves.
Let's take crypto wallets for a sec. A designer's whole job here is to simplify every single transaction. The goal? To make sending and receiving crypto feel as easy and safe as, say, sending money with Venmo or PayPal. You want to get rid of that fear of making a mistake because those mistakes can be expensive. It's all about building that trust.
And what about those dApps? Well, the big challenge there is to make them feel normal, familiar. A good designer will create a flow that just makes sense, so that when you're interacting with the blockchain in the background, it doesn't feel like you're launching a rocket. It just feels natural.
Then you have DeFi, decentralized finance. And here, the stakes are super high because we're talking about people's money. Design here is absolutely crucial. It's about taking a mountain of complex financial data, yields, risks, all that stuff, and making it so clear and easy to understand that you can actually make a smart decision without needing a finance degree. Now, this jump from confusing to clear, it doesn't just happen by magic. Not at all. It's the result of a really deliberate, structured process. And the most important part of that process is that it puts you, the user, right at the center of everything. The technology serves the user, not the other way around. And that process is a pretty proven one. First, you do the research. You really dig in to understand what people need and where they're getting stuck. Then, you start sketching things out with simple wireframes and prototypes. After that, you bring in the visual design to make it look and feel great. And finally, and this is so important in Web3, you test. You make sure people actually understand what's happening when they, say, sign a transaction or pay a gas fee. And this quote just nails it. This isn't about some designer trying to be clever.
It's about empathy. It's about digging into what people are struggling with, what their pain points are, and then designing something that just works, something that feels natural and clear, almost like it's not even there.
So, what's the big deal? Why are we spending all this time talking about design? Well, because when you get this right, the payoff is huge. It's not just about a prettier app. It's about getting the two things that Web3 absolutely has to have to survive and thrive: trust and lots of people actually using it. Seriously, when you nail the design, the benefits just stack up. You get more people on board faster, you build way more trust, you see fewer people getting frustrated and just giving up. And for the businesses building this stuff, you get a better ROI and a product that can actually grow. Let's just touch on a couple of these real quick. Okay, first up, faster adoption. This one's a no-brainer. When something is easy to use, that giant learning curve pretty much disappears. And that means more people are willing to give it a shot. But even more important, they're more likely to stick around. Next, and maybe this is the most important one, is stronger trust. Look, we're dealing with digital money and assets here. People have to feel safe. And a clear, honest design that tells you exactly what's happening at every step, that's how you build that confidence. It's absolutely fundamental. And finally, let's talk business. This isn't just about warm, fuzzy feelings. It's about the bottom line. A great user experience means people use the product more, they stick with it longer, and that leads to better returns. So you have to stop thinking of design as a cost. It's an investment, and it's one that pays off big time. So that brings us back to the big question, doesn't it? The technology for Web3, it's here. The vision, it's incredibly exciting. But that bridge to get everyone else on board, it's still being built. And it seems pretty clear that the bridge won't be made of code alone. It has to be built with thoughtful, human-centered design. So what do you think? Will great design be the key that finally unlocks Web3 for the rest of the world? It's definitely something to think about.